Welcome to part 28. Configure NginX to communicate with Gunicorn. So we have Gunicorn up and running and able to communicate with our web application. We now need to configure NginX so that it can communicate with Gunicorn. Right now, NginX knows nothing about Gunicorn. So in order to do this, we're going to create a new NginX configuration file. And this is it. It's just a short file. It has to be placed in the right location. So we're going to place it over here where all the configuration files for NginX need to be located. Let's go ahead and actually visit that location first so we can see what is there. So let me clear this out. We're going to cd into the NginX sites available directory, and then we'll list the contents. Right now there's just one configuration file. We can look at its contents by looking at this cat default. So here's the default configuration file. Right here. And it's actually going to display some HTML over here. That's what is at our server right now. So let's take a look at our IP address. And you should see this default NginX website. And so that's what it's displaying, and it's displaying that because of this NginX configuration file that we have over here. So let's exit. So we already saw it. So again, it's because of this configuration file here. We're going to create a new configuration file right here. We're just going to name it Corona. So it's in that same directory, sites available. So we're going to create a new blank file using the Nano text editor. And then we're just going to copy and paste this right here. So what it's going to do is going to say, hey, look at this socket file, which is right here. So it's in our Corona directory. And that's what you'll route these requests to, which will then, so this is our Gunicorn or socket file created by Gunicorn. So requests from NginX will be routed over here, which will then be passed on to the Python application, and then the response will be passed back to NginX. Okay, so let's exit out of here and save it. Now there's one other thing we have to do here, is that, okay, so you can think of this sites available directory as a staging area for all of the configurations you want. But it's the sites enabled that will actually be used for NginX when actual requests come. So what we're going to do is create this symbolic link from the sites available to the sites enabled over here. That did not copy correctly. Let's try it again. Okay, so this command creates this symbolic link from the sites available to the sites enabled. And we can go to the sites enabled. Let's go back one level. So here we're just in the generic NginX directory, and then we can go to sites enabled, and now we have Corona and default. In order to remove any, so it still will use the default unless we remove the default from sites enabled. So we'll just remove this file. Don't worry, you still have this exact same file in sites available. So remember, sites available is like that staging area. Sites enabled is where NginX actually uses for requests. So let's remove that. Now we have to do one more thing. We have to restart the NginX service. So NginX is actually run as a systemd service. So it uses these same commands to start and stop it. So the restart command will restart the server, and then it'll have it look at our Corona configuration file and not the default. Let's go ahead and restart this. And now we can visit our IP address again, and if we refresh the page, then we should have our dashboard. Okay, this is exciting. We got it up and running. You can actually provide this IP address to any person in the world, and they can now visit your dashboard. We have the old data, so whatever the data that was last updated on your local machine, but we can update it to our new data, and that's what we'll do in just a bit. All right, so congratulations on configuring the dashboard to have it up and running to the world by configuring NginX to communicate with Gunicorn.